Welcome back to Some Guy's Garage. Update on the Traxxas Xmaxx and the blown ESC. Hobby Shop has said, take it out, ship it in, we'll have a look at it and replace it. So that's hopefully good news. In discharging the batteries, I saw a little bit of strange behavior with the charger and the lights it was showing. Not sure if that's a problem, but what I'm going to do as well is just give the ESC a test on a bench power supply. I'll show that other bit now, and then I'll get my bench power supply out and we'll see if we can power up the ESC properly with that. So maybe there's a battery problem for all I know. But let's take a look at that first. So this is a bit interesting. I just put the batteries on to drain them. You can see it's in storage mode here. And they were fully charged before I started, but you can see this one's already down to 1 bar. It started off that way when I plugged them in here. And the other one is full and I guess draining down now into the storage mode. But I'm wondering if maybe there's actually a fault in the battery rather than the ESC. But we'll have to take a look at that. I'm not too sure. Okay, so I put the other battery here. You can see now it's on a balanced charge and we're full LEDs. So I'm going to stop that here. So we'll stop that. We'll switch back to a storage charge and start again. And back to 1 LED there. Not too sure why that's the case. Looking at the app though, so this is the left-hand battery. It says 4.2 volts. We're doing the storage charge here. And looks all okay there. And similarly, so the other battery, again doing storage charge. The app is very finicky to touch and also says 4.2 volts there as well. From this perspective, it looks right. Maybe just the LED on the thing is indicating something wrong. I might try and restart it and see what happens. Okay, so I tried one other thing. I switched the 2 batteries around, just flipped which side they were on, and now they're both showing 1 bar, so maybe that is the way it works. I don't know. Seems a little strange. Hopefully it's not what was contributing to my problems, but we'll let this go until it completes. All right, so I have my bench power supply here. It's hooked up on the second channel just so it's close enough. Alligator clips to the actual input terminals to the ESC. I have it set for 24 volts, which is lower than what this actually runs at, but these should fire up on 6S, which this should be close to. And then 3 amps current limited, so it won't ever let more than 3 amps go. And so I have my controller, it's on. Put that to the side here, and we'll turn on the power supply. So nothing too exciting there. We're drawing 0.01 amps. And what I'll do now is I'll turn on the ESC. And it looks like we still have 3 red lights going on. We're drawing about half an amp, 0.45 of an amp right now, 10 watts, which is probably mostly the fan and just the electronics. But yeah, I guess that answers that. The ESC still has the error, even with a different power supply. So can rule out the batteries, hopefully, in that sense. All right, so seeing all that, let's remove the ESC. Luckily, they do give us some diagrams here. And from the looks of it, it's just 2 screws holding the ESC down. I've never done this before, so might as well have a look at the diagrams. I'm also probably going to need to remove the covers to where the receiver is because there'll be a wire running from the receiver to the ESC. So I'll probably have to pull both of those off and then obviously disconnect it from the motor and everything. But let's get started on that. First things first, need to cut the zip tie here. And let's disconnect the motor. Assume these will just pull apart. Probably a little bit of force. Yep, there we go. Okay, so the motor's disconnected now. I've got these neat little Astro Tools Allen wrenches, so I'm going to use these to remove things. We'll start with the covers here. This is a 2.5 millimeter. Grab a magnetic tray to put all these things in. Probably use a power tool to make this a little bit faster. Okay, so let's see if these covers come off. Yep, nice and easily. It slides forward and out. That's good. And let's see if we can get the other cover off here. Yep. Has the antenna hooked up, so don't pull too hard there. Okay, have the covers off. So channel 1 looks to be going to the servo for steering. Channel 2 goes to the ESC, and probably also the ESC is providing power back that way. Channel 4 is actually being used for the fan to cool the motor, And there's a bat channel 5, and I think this is just, from what I can see here, is just a jumper across to this last connector, which is a voltage and temperature sensor for the motor itself. Because the wires do come around here to the other side of the motor. So that's, I think, voltage and temperature for the ID link stuff or whatever Traxxas does. So really all we're gonna have to pull here is the channel 2 to the actual motor, and we'll have to thread that through somehow, but probably once we get the ESC off. So let's go ahead and undo the ESC now. I believe this is a 2mm down here. Okay, so I tried the 2mm ball end here. So that's a ball end one. This is just a regular Allen key, but the ball end doesn't quite fit in there, so I'll have to use a regular one here. Still 2mm, just the ball end head doesn't get a grip. There you go, you can see the ESC is loose now, so we just need to thread this out. There we go, that's out. And then we'll have to get it out of the chassis here. Hopefully it just comes up through the rails and you don't have to pull the whole thing apart. I know I probably shouldn't be pulling on the wires here, but hard to get a grip. There's a little bit of, it seems like dielectric grease on some of these wires here. And there we go, the ESC is out. Let's get those screws separated so we don't lose them. And there we go, that is the ESC. Inside under the cover is a fan, and there's a heat sink. There is a fuse in there, doesn't look blown. Alright, one more thing just before we finish off here. I've got the bench power supply back out, same settings, 24 volts, 3 amps current limited. And I just want to try the ESC without the motor hooked up or anything else. So the connectors are all free of anything. And, you know, maybe for all I know, there's a short in the motor or something's gone wrong there. And so having the motor disconnected might make a difference. But let's turn it on and see what happens. So nothing to begin with, obviously, because we haven't turned it on, but we'll click it on here. And as you can see, still 3 red lights. So unfortunately, it does seem like the ESC is dead. Alright, so overall pretty easy to remove. Disconnect the motor, the 3 connectors there just pull apart. There's 4 screws covering up the receiver and all of the electronic bits in here, and you just have to unplug it from channel 2. And then 2 screws holding the ESC, and you kind of got to wiggle it past the chassis here, but it comes out the top. And as for the ESC here, I'm going to ship it off to my dealer, and hopefully the replacement process goes really smoothly. They send me a new one and we're good to go again. It's really unfortunate that it died kind of basically out of the box. I guess these things do happen, and you know, thanks for all the comments. Everybody says the X-Maxx is a great truck once you get it going. Maybe at some point this is going to get replaced with the Max 6 ESC because I've been hearing quite a few comments about them being a lot more durable and reliable. So we'll see how this goes. I might as well get a replacement for this one and run it for a little bit and see what happens. Hopefully I can run it for a little bit. But anyway, that's all for today. If you're interested in following along, make sure you subscribe, and otherwise, thanks for watching.